Eddard Stark had carried the promise through 14 winters, and in all that time he had imagined 100 ways in which it might destroy him. He had imagined the secret escaping in fever, in wine, in the mutterings of sleep. He had imagined a maester discovering some forgotten scrap of parchment, or a servant recalling that the milk brother brought north from Dorne had never resembled the solemn lord who named him son. He had imagined Catelyn confronting him with proof, Robert learning through a whisperer, Jon asking the question no father could answer, without tearing open the grave of the woman he had loved most in all the world. Never had Ned imagined that he would choose to speak it freely. Yet when Robert Baratheon stood before Lyanna's stone likeness in the crypts beneath Winterfell, broad shoulders bowed beneath the weight of memory, Ned understood that silence had become another species of lie. The dead kings watched them from their shadowed seats. Stone wolves crouched at their feet. Iron swords lay across their knees to keep vengeful spirits sealed within their tombs, though the oldest blades had long ago rusted into red dust. The air smelled of damp rock, old earth, and the tallow torch Robert held in one massive hand. "She should have been buried beneath the sun," Robert said. His voice was quieter than Ned had heard it during the feasts, the hunts, or the long ride north. She hated the cold. "You remember her as you wished her to be." Robert turned. The flames sharpened the lines age had cut around his eyes. Once, he had been a giant in polished steel, laughing amid banners and blood, every movement made glorious by youth. Now, his beard had thickened, his belly strained against his belt, and the crown had carved weariness into him more deeply than any blade. What in seven hells is that meant to mean? Ned looked upon Lyanna's face. The sculptor had given her a grave beauty she had rarely possessed in life. His sister had been quick smiles, scraped knees, wind-tangled hair, and willfulness bright enough to shame summer lightning. Stone had made her obedient. "I should have told you long ago." Robert's fingers tightened around the torch. "Told me what?" Ned heard the whisper of old words in the cold chamber. "Promise me, Ned." He remembered blood on white petals. Lyanna's hand in his, her voice fading as the roses spilled from numb fingers. He remembered the infant crying beneath the tower while men who had loved his father, his brother, and his king lay dead outside. He had believed honor demanded silence. Perhaps honor had only been the name he gave his fear. Lyanna was not taken against her will, Ned said. For a heartbeat, Robert did not move. Then the crypt seemed to contract around them. "What did you say?" She went with Rhaegar willingly. The torch cracked. A bead of burning pitch fell across Robert's glove, but he did not notice. No. She loved him. No. They were wed in secret. Robert lunged. His free hand seized Ned by the front of his cloak and drove him back against the tomb. Stone struck Ned between the shoulders. The torch clattered away, rolling in the dust, and darkness swallowed half the chamber. "You lie." Robert's breath came hot and sour with wine. "You lie to spare the dead dragon. You lie because you have always pitied defeated men. I saw the proof. You saw her bleeding because he raped her and left her to die. I saw her dying after childbirth." Robert froze. The word lingered between them. Childbirth. The king's grip loosened by the smallest measure. Ned could have stopped. Even then, he might have gathered the truth back into himself. He might have told Robert that the child died with Lyanna, that the bones were buried beneath nameless stones in Dorne, that no living threat remained. Instead, he finished what he had begun. The child lived. Robert stared at him. Somewhere deeper in the crypts, water struck stone in slow, patient drops. "Where?" Ned's mouth had gone dry. "Robert, where is Rhaegar's son?" "He has lived beneath my protection since the rebellion." The king released Ned and stepped back. His expression had become unreadable, which frightened Ned more than rage would have done. "Beneath your protection," Robert repeated. "Yes." "In the north?" "Yes." "To Winterfell?" Ned said nothing. Robert looked toward the darkness behind him as though the answer might emerge from among the tombs. Then he turned slowly back to Ned. "No." Ned forced himself to meet his friend's eyes. "No," Robert said again. "Not him. Jon is Lyanna's son." The blow came so swiftly that Ned did not see Robert's arm move. His head snapped sideways. He tasted blood and struck the edge of the stone tomb with one hand to keep from falling. Robert stood over him, trembling. "You named him after Aaron." "Yes." "You seated him at your table." "Yes." "You let me look at him." Ned wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. "You had seen him before tonight." "I saw your bastard." "You saw my sister's child." Robert turned away, both hands pressed against his face. His shoulders rose and fell. No grief Ned had witnessed upon the battlefield had looked like this. Not men clutching severed limbs. Not fathers kneeling over sons. Not even Robert after the sack, when the bodies of Rhaegar's children were presented beneath crimson cloaks. "You made a fool of me," Robert said. "I kept him alive. You made me feast beneath the same roof as the dragon seed. He's Lyanna's blood. He is Rhaegar's blood. He is a boy. He's a claim. He has never claimed anything." Robert wheeled around. "Because he did not know." Ned could not answer that. Robert stalked after the fallen torch, snatched it from the floor, and thrust it back into a wall bracket. His movements were too sharp, too violent, but his voice grew colder. "What was his name?" "Jon. That is the name you gave him." Ned looked once more at Lyanna's carved face. "Rhaegar meant to call him Aegon." Robert's fist struck the wall. The sound rolled down the crypt like a hammer blow. "That name belonged to the infant my enemies laid at my feet. I know. And you raised another beneath my nose. I raised Jon. Do not play at words with me. He is not Rhaegar returned. He is not Aerys. He is not the boy murdered in King's Landing. He is Jon. He has a better claim than I do. Claims are made by men. He has made none. Men will make it for him. Only if they learn." Robert laughed once, without mirth. "Varys knows what sparrows eat in Pentos. Littlefinger knows which washerwoman shares a bed with which guard. Cersei knows every woman I have touched since our wedding night. You think such a secret remains buried because you wish it so. It has remained buried for 14 years. Until now." Ned felt the truth of that. He had spoken because Robert was his friend, because Lyanna deserved to be remembered as more than a victim, because Jon deserved to be seen as more than a shame. Yet once released, truth did not remain where it was placed. It moved through men like flame through dry grass. Robert stared at Lyanna's statue. "Did she speak of me?" Ned's heart tightened. "She asked me to protect her son." "That was not what I asked." Ned had lied enough. "She said she was sorry." Robert's eyes closed. The king stood silently for so long that the torch flame steadied. When he opened his eyes again, grief had hollowed them. "Sorry," he said. "For what? For running? For lying? For letting half the realm burn while I chased a ghost? She was 16. So were we all once. No. We were older than we believed. She was younger than we allowed. Now." Robert breathed through his nose. Ned saw the man struggling inside the king, the friend contending with the conqueror, the boy who had loved Lyanna battling the warlord who had built a dynasty upon Rhaegar's corpse. "What do you expect of me?" Robert asked. "Mercy. You confess treason and ask mercy. I confess love. For the boy? For Lyanna." Robert looked at him with such bitterness that Ned almost wished for another blow. "You loved her enough to lie to me. I loved you enough to tell you now. Do not flatter yourself. I have agreed to become your hand. If I ride south with you while this remains hidden, every judgment I give will be stained by it. Every warning will sound like manipulation. Every silence will be another betrayal." Robert's face hardened at the mention of the handship. "You decided to tell me because you feared I might discover it in King's Landing. I decided because Jon intended to join the Night's Watch." For the first time since the confession, Robert seemed genuinely startled. "The Wall. He believes there is no place for him here." He is a prince. He believes he is a bastard. And you would let him swear away his claim without knowing he possessed one. I thought it safest. For whom? Ned had no answer that did not condemn him. Robert came closer. His anger had not diminished, but it had changed. It was no longer a wildfire blaze. It had become banked heat beneath iron. Does Caitlin know? No. Your children? No. Benjen? He suspects more than he has ever said, but he does not know. The boy? No. Robert looked toward the stairway leading back to the living world. I will see him. Ned's stomach knotted. Not tonight. I am king, and you are drunk. Robert's face reddened. Ned continued before courage failed him. If you meet him now, you will see Rhaegar. If you meet him with a clear head, you may see Lyanna. Do not tell me what I will see. Then remember what you have already seen. A boy who gave up his place at the high table so a hostage and a dwarf would not sit alone. A boy who trained your son without shaming him. A boy who asked nothing of you. Nay, he carries the blood of a dynasty I destroyed. He carries mine as well. Robert's jaw worked. At last he reached for the wineskin at his belt, then seemed to remember Ned's words. With a grunt of disgust, he threw it against the base of Brandon's tomb. Red wine spread through the dust like fresh blood. At dawn, he said. Ned did not move. At dawn, you bring him to the Godswood. Alone. Robert, if he flees, I will call the banners from here to Dorne. If you hide him again, I will name you traitor before every lord in the realm. He will not flee. You have no notion what he will do. You have never told him who he is. The words cut more deeply than the blow had done. Robert lifted the torch from its bracket and started toward the stairs. At the first step, he stopped without looking back. Did she love the dragon until the end? Ned remembered Lyanna's fever-bright eyes. He remembered the way she had clutched the dead black petals of the winter roses. He remembered the name she whispered once, too faintly for any man but her brother to hear. Yes. Robert bowed his head. When he spoke again, his voice was raw. Then, perhaps I never knew her at all. He climbed toward the surface, carrying the light with him. Ned remained beside Lyanna's tomb until the darkness closed around him. For 14 years he had feared the price of truth. Only now did he understand that the price had not yet been paid. Jon Snow knew something had changed before Maester Luwin entered his chamber. The castle had been restless throughout the night. Doors opened and closed in distant passages. Boots crossed the yard long after the fire should have burned low. Twice Ghost had risen from the rushes and gone to the door, silent and intent, his red eyes fixed upon movements Jon could not hear. When the maester arrived before dawn, he wore no chain over his sleeping robe. Your father asks for you in the Godswood. Jon pushed aside his blanket. Is he ill? No. Has something happened to Bran? Your brother sleeps. The careful answer troubled him more than alarm would have done. Why does he want me? Luwin's lined face softened. That is not mine to say. Jon dressed quickly in black wool, belted his sword at his hip, and followed the old man through the waking castle. Servants avoided his eyes. A guardsman at the inner gate looked as though he wished to speak, then thought better of it. Ghost emerged from the shadows and fell beside him. The Godswood was cold and still. A thin skin of ice covered the black pool. The heart tree's red leaves whispered despite the absence of wind. Ned stood beneath its carved face. Robert waited several paces away, wearing a heavy fur cloak over yesterday's clothes. He looked as though he had not slept. His eyes were bloodshot, but there was no softness of drink in them. Jon stopped. My lord, your grace. Ned flinched at the first title. Robert noticed. Come closer, the king said. Jon obeyed. Ghost remained against his leg. Robert circled him once, slowly. The inspection made Jon feel like a horse brought to market. He fought the urge to straighten his shoulders. You favor the Stark look, Robert said. Jon glanced toward Ned. So I have been told. The eyes most of all. Yes, your grace. Do you know why you were named Jon? For Lord Arryn. So you were told. A heaviness settled in Jon's chest. Ned stepped forward. Jon, there is something I should have told you years ago. Jon looked from his father to the king. The unease he had carried since Luwin woke him sharpened into fear. Am I being sent away? No, Ned said. Robert gave a grim laugh. Not unless you choose it after hearing this. Ned's face was the face he wore when passing sentence. Solemn, burdened, and certain there could be no turning back. You are not my son. The world did not move. Jon heard leaves scraping across snow. He heard the slow dripping of water beneath the ice. He heard Ghost's breath. He did not understand the words. Ned continued, though pain tightened every syllable. You are my blood, but you are not my son. Jon's hand drifted toward the pommel of his sword, not to draw it, but to hold something solid. Then whose? My sister's. The heart tree watched him with red and weeping eyes. Lady Lyanna. Yes. Jon tried to speak. No sound emerged. His first thought was absurdly small. Catelyn would no longer have reason to hate him. Then came the larger thoughts, tumbling over one another. Ned had lied. Everyone had lied. His mother had not been some tavern girl or Dornish noblewoman or fisherman's daughter. She had a face carved in stone beneath Winterfell. His mother had been Lyanna Stark. Who was my father? Robert turned away. Jon understood before Ned answered. The songs had made Rhaegar Targaryen beautiful, melancholy, doomed. The songs had made Robert glorious for killing him. The songs had made Lyanna a stolen maiden whose death justified a kingdom's blood. Rhaegar, Jon whispered. Ned nodded. Ghost pressed closer. Jon looked at Robert. The king's back was turned, but one hand had closed around the head of his warhammer, which rested against the tree's roots. Is that why he is here? Ned moved between them without seeming to do so. He knows the truth. Since when? Last night. And you? Since the day you were born. 14 years collapsed into that answer. Every look, every silence, every unfinished promise returned with new meaning. Ned had said they would speak of his mother after returning from King's Landing. He had said the next time they met. He had intended Jon to leave for the Wall without knowing. You were going to let me take the Black? Ned's eyes closed briefly. Yes. Why? To protect you. From him. Robert turned. Speak plainly, boy. I'm standing here. Jon met the king's gaze. He knew fear, but pride held him upright. Yes, from you. Robert's expression darkened. Jon, Ned warned. No. Robert lifted one hand. Let him answer. He has been lied to enough. The king approached until only a few paces separated them. Do you think I mean to kill you? I think my lord father believed you would. Ned is not your father. The correction landed like a slap. Ned's voice hardened. I raised him. That is father enough. Robert looked from one to the other. Jon saw something strange in the king's face. Not recognition exactly, but an unwilling awareness. The shape of Jon's mouth, perhaps. The way he held his head. Some echo of Lyanna that Ned had seen every day and Robert had never known to seek. What do you want? Robert asked. Jon swallowed. To know why I was never told. That is not what I asked. I do not know what else there is to want. A crown? Jon stared at him. Robert's fingers tightened on the hammer. Your father was heir to the Iron Throne. Some would say you inherited his right. Maybe. My father died before I was born. Men have crowned younger boys for weaker reasons. I do not want your crown. You answered quickly. Because I have never wanted it. You did not know it might be yours. Jon felt anger rising through the confusion. Then hear me now. I do not want it. Robert searched his face. Do you hate me? Jon thought of stories shouted over feast tables. Robert's hammer breaking Rhaegar's armor at the Trident. Rubies scattering through the river. His mother dying in a bed of blood because the war had kept help far from her. I do not know you well enough. For a moment, Ned looked horrified. Then Robert barked a laugh. It was harsh, but real. Lyanna might have said the same. Footsteps sounded beyond the trees. Catelyn Stark appeared upon the terrace with Robb beside her. Arya, Sansa, Bran, and Rickon clustered behind them despite the guards attempting to hold them back. My lord, Catelyn called. What is happening? Ned's shoulders sagged. Robert looked toward the family, then back to Jon. How many more lies do you mean to keep before breakfast? Ned crossed the godswood and spoke quietly to Catelyn. Jon could not hear every word, but he saw the color leave her face. She stared at him. For years he had imagined what he might feel if she ever learned he was innocent of the betrayal she saw whenever she looked upon him. He had imagined vindication, relief, perhaps even a cruel satisfaction. He felt none of those things. Catelyn had been wronged as surely as he had. Ned had allowed her to believe that her husband brought another woman's son into her home. He had used her anger as a shield because hatred made the lie convincing. Robb came down the steps first. Jon? Jon could not answer. Robb stopped before him, uncertain whether to embrace him or kneel. Do not, Jon said. I was only... Do not kneel. Robb's eyes filled, though he blinked the tears away. You are still my brother. That broke something inside Jon more completely than Ned's confession had done. Arya raced past everyone and flung both arms around him. Ghost stepped aside to avoid being trampled. I knew it, she said against his chest. Jon almost laughed. You knew nothing. I knew you were not some tavern bastard. Arya, Sansa whispered, scandalized even through her shock. Bran descended more slowly. Rickon clung to Catelyn's skirts, frightened by the tension he could not understand. Catelyn approached last. Ned remained behind her. She stopped before Jon. For a moment, they were both prisoners of 14 years. I did not know, she said. Jon had never heard her voice so unguarded. No. He told me you were his. He told everyone. Her eyes moved to Ned, then returned to Jon. I was cruel to you. They were easy answers, polite answers, lies that would have soothed the morning. Jon could not bear another lie. Yes, Catelyn accepted the word as though it were a sentence. I cannot undo it. No, I am sorry. Jon looked at the woman who had ruled Winterfell through sickness, harvest, birth, and absence. She was Robb's mother, Arya's mother, Bran's mother. She had never been his, and now he knew why she had guarded that boundary like a wall. I believe you, he said. Forgiveness would take longer. Robert watched the exchange with a strange, brooding attention. When Catelyn moved away, the king planted the head of his hammer in the snow. The boy does not go to the wall. Jon turned sharply. I have already spoken to Benjen. You have sworn no vows. I gave my word. To whom? To myself. Robert scoffed. A king can release a man from a promise made to his own reflection. Ned returned to Jon's side. What do you intend? For now, he remains here. No, Robert said after a moment. That will not do. Ned's eyes narrowed. Robert looked toward the castle, where banners bearing the crowned stag stirred above the towers. If I leave him in Winterfell, every spy in my retinue will wonder why. If I order silence, they will hear a secret worth selling. If I ride south without him, I will spend every night wondering whether some silver-haired exile is being smuggled across the narrow sea to place a crown upon his head. "I will not be your prisoner," Jon said. "You will be my ward. There is little difference. There is every difference while I am in a merciful mood." Ned stepped closer. "Robert, Totiu." The king met his gaze. "I will take Jon south with us," Robert said. "He will live beneath my roof, train with my household, and be seen by the realm as a boy under royal protection." "Or royal threat," Ned said. "That depends upon him. It depends upon you." Robert's mouth hardened. "You asked for mercy. This is what mercy looks like when kings must practice it." Jon felt the future closing around him. He had prepared himself for the wall, for cold stone and black cloaks, for a life where birth did not matter. Now birth was all that mattered. "What happens when we reach King's Landing?" he asked. Robert regarded him for a long moment. "You will learn what kind of man you are. And if I am not the kind you want, then we will both learn what kind of king I am." The words chilled the godswood more than the snow. Yet when Robert walked past him toward the castle, he paused. Without turning, he said, "Your mother once broke my nose with a practice sword." Jon blinked. Robert continued up the steps. She laughed for an hour afterward. Then he was gone. Jon looked toward Lyanna's brother, toward the family that was and was not his, and finally toward the pale face carved into the heart tree. All his life, he had believed himself burdened by the absence of a name. Now he possessed too many. By noon, Winterfell had become a castle of whispers. No proclamation had been made, yet servants carried silence more efficiently than ravens carried letters. Men who had never looked twice at Jon now watched him cross the yard. Ladies lowered their voices when he entered a passage. Squads of royal guards appeared at gates that had not required guarding the day before. The truth itself remained confined to the Stark family and Robert's queen, though not by Ned's choice. Cersei Lannister had entered the king's chamber while Robert was overturning a table. She emerged half an hour later with a bruise darkening one wrist and triumph concealed beneath offended dignity. Robert had told her because he could not explain his fury without revealing its cause. By the time Ned learned she knew, the queen had already summoned Jaime Lannister and Tyrion Lannister to her apartments. The secret had ceased to be a secret. It had become a weapon being passed from hand to hand. Ned found Jon in the training yard. The boy had driven 3 older squires into the mud and was circling Sir Roderick Castle with a blunted sword. Anger made him quick, but not patient. Roderick turned aside a reckless cut and swept Jon's legs from beneath him. "You are fighting the man behind me," the master-at-arms said. Jon rose, breathing hard. "Perhaps I prefer him. You cannot strike a memory." "I can try." Roderick looked toward Ned, inclined his head, and dismissed the other boys. Jon retrieved his fallen sword. "Have you come to tell me another truth?" "I came to see whether you were prepared for the hall." "What happens in the hall?" "The king means to announce that you will accompany us south. He already announced it to me. To the court, he will call you my natural son and his royal ward." Jon's laugh was bitter. "So the truth begins with another lie. A necessary one." "They all are." Ned accepted the rebuke. "Cersei knows." Jon's grip tightened around the practice sword. "Will she tell Joffrey?" "I do not know." "Will she tell the realm?" "Not while Robert's anger protects you. She may use the knowledge later." "No, and can me." "Against whom?" "Anyone she chooses." Jon looked toward the towers where golden lions flew beside direwolves. "She hates me." "She does not know you. She hates what I am. That is more dangerous." Jon lowered the sword. "What am I?" Ned had no simple answer. "Son of Lyanna. Son of Rhaegar. Heir to a dead prince. Rival to a living king. Brother to children who had always believed him brother. A boy who had been shaped by a lie and was now expected to survive the truth. You are Jon. Robert said that was the name you gave me. It is the name your mother chose before she died." Jon looked up sharply. Ned had never spoken of that detail even in the Godswood. "She chose it?" She knew Rhaegar's name would endanger you. She asked me to give you a northern name. I chose Jon for the man who raised me." Some of the hardness left the boy's face. "Did she hold me?" "Yes." "Did she know she was dying?" "Yes." "Was she afraid?" Ned remembered Lyanna's fingers crushing his own. He remembered blood soaking the bed, and fear larger than pain. Not for herself. Jon looked away. Ned wished he could place a hand upon his shoulder, but did not know whether he were that right. The hall is waiting. Let it. Jon. The boy gave a humorless smile. Royal wards should not keep kings waiting. They crossed the yard together. Inside the great hall, every seat was occupied. Northern bannermen filled the lower tables. Knights of the royal household stood along the walls. Cersei sat at Robert's left, gold and crimson wrapped around her like armor. Jaime stood behind her chair in the white cloak of the Kingsguard, one hand resting casually upon his sword. Joffrey Baratheon lounged near his mother, openly curious. Myrcella and Tommen sat beside Septa Mordane. Sansa watched Jon with frightened admiration. Arya scowled at anyone who stared too long. Benjen Stark had arrived from the wall expecting to escort a nephew north. Now he stood beside the hearth, his black cloak making him seem like an omen. Tyrion raised his cup when Jon entered. Robert waited until Ned and Jon reached the high table. "The journey south has been delayed long enough," the king declared. "We depart at first light." A murmur spread through the hall. Robert continued, "Lord Stark will ride as my hand. His daughters will accompany us as agreed. His natural son Jon will also ride south as a ward of the crown." The words changed the air. No one openly questioned why a king would claim another man's bastard as a royal ward, but the question appeared upon every face. Cersei smiled. It was a beautiful smile, and Jon understood at once that it promised harm. Joffrey leaned toward his mother. Why would father want him? Cersei did not lower her voice enough. "Your father has always collected strays." Robert's goblet struck the table. "Mind your tongue." The hall went still. Joffrey looked astonished. Cersei's smile vanished. Jon saw fear flicker across her face before pride smothered it. Robert stood. "He rides beneath my protection. Any man who insults him insults the crown." That was more than Ned had expected and perhaps more than Robert intended. Whispers multiplied instantly. Jon looked at the king, but Robert refused to meet his eyes. The meal that followed had the strained cheer of a funeral feast. Musicians played too loudly. Cups were refilled too often. Northern lords attempted clumsy congratulations, as though Jon had been granted an honor rather than placed inside a gilded cage. Great Jon Umber slapped him upon the back hard enough to rattle his teeth. "Never heard of a bastard warded to a king," the giant said. "You must have done something worth singing about." "Not yet." "See that you do." Roose Bolton offered a thinner smile. "King's Landing has devoured men of greater birth than yours." Jon wondered whether the Lord intended warning or threat. At the high table, Robert drank less than usual. Cersei drank nothing. Jaime leaned close to her twice and received whispered instructions. Ned watched all of them. He had thought telling the truth would clear the ground beneath his feet. Instead, it had revealed how many blades lay buried there. After the feast, Benjen found Jon in the armory. "You intended to say your vows with me," the ranger said. "I still do. The king has forbidden it. Robert is king of the Seven Kingdoms, not of my soul." Benjen studied him. "You know now why Ned wished you hidden at the wall. He wished me ignorant at the wall." "That too." Jon turned a whetstone over in his hands. "Did you know?" "No. I knew Lyanna made Ned promise something. I knew he returned with a child and no mother he would name. I guessed enough to avoid guessing further. You never asked him? Your father could keep silence against a siege. Jon glanced up. Benjen did not correct himself for calling Ned his father. What should I do? If I knew, I would tell you. You are my uncle. To half the castle, I have always been your uncle. Now the blood has caught up with the habit. Jon smiled faintly. Benjen grew serious. Do not mistake the wall for escape. Men carry themselves wherever they go. Had you come north believing yourself a bastard, you would have brought that wound. If you come one day knowing you are a prince, you may bring a worse one. I am not a prince. Blood does not ask permission. Neither do vows. No d. But vows chosen in anger become chains hammered by another man. No, Jon set down the whetstone. Robert might kill me. He might. You say that easily. I have seen kings kill for less. Then why should I go with him? Because refusing gives him reason to fear you. Because running makes you look guilty. Because every road from Winterfell will be watched by sunset. Jon's anger flashed. So I am a prisoner. Benjen's expression was sorrowful. All men are prisoners of something. The fortunate ones choose the walls. That night, Jon went to Bran's chamber. The boy was awake, though Catelyn had ordered him to rest before the royal departure. He sat beneath the window with his climbing gloves hidden beside him. Are you truly a dragon? Bran asked. No. Robb says your father was. Robb has understood the matter poorly. Can you breathe fire? Jon ruffled his hair. Only when Arya steals my supper. Bran smiled, then looked solemn again. Will you come back? Jon glanced toward the dark courtyard. I mean to. You always say that when you do not know. Then, I do not know. Bran hugged him fiercely. Jon left the chamber after midnight. As he descended the tower steps, he passed Jaime climbing toward the royal apartments. The knight paused and studied him with green eyes. Prince Jon, Jaime said. Jon's hand went to his sword. Do not call me that. Which part offends you? The title or the name? Both, when spoken by you. Jaime smiled. You have more wolf than dragon in you, and you have more lion than knight. For an instant, the smile vanished. Then Jaime stepped aside. King's Landing will suit you. I doubt that. It suits no one. That is why everyone there pretends. No, Kabia. They passed one another. Jon continued toward his chamber, but Ghost stopped at the foot of the stairs and looked back. Jaime had disappeared above. The direwolf's hackles rose. At dawn, the royal column assembled beneath falling snow. Jon said farewell to Rickon, who did not understand why everyone was leaving. To Bran, who swore he would be standing atop the broken tower when Jon returned. To Robb, who gripped his forearm and made him promise to write. And to Catelyn, who stood apart from the others. When Jon approached her, she held out a pair of riding gloves lined with fur. You will need these on the King's Road. He accepted them. Thank you. There is something else. She struggled to speak. At times I wished you gone, she said. I want you to know that I never wished you dead. Jon remembered fever dreams from childhood. Catelyn's silhouette beside Bran's cradle, cold words spoken over warm fires. He believed her, though belief did not erase memory. I know. It was not entirely true, but it was kinder than many truths. Robert called from the gate. Jon mounted beside Ned. The king had ordered him placed near the front of the column, where every lord could see the honor and every guard could prevent escape. As Winterfell receded behind them, Jon looked back toward Bran's tower. A small figure stood upon the battlements, waving. Above him, near a high window, a flash of white moved behind a curtain. Then the castle vanished among the trees. Before sunset, Bran climbed the broken tower. The Raven reached them 3 days south of Winterfell. Robert was hunting when the message arrived. Ned opened it beneath an ash tree while rain ticked against the hood of his cloak. Bran had fallen. He yet lived, Lewin wrote, but had not awakened. His back was broken. Catelyn remained at his bedside and refused food, sleep, or counsel. Robb held Winterfell. Ned read the words twice before handing the parchment to Jon. The boy's face emptied. He said he would be on the tower when I returned. Ned put a hand upon his shoulder. Jon did not pull away. Robert abandoned the hunt when he heard. He sent his own maester north with medicines, ordered the column to halt, and offered Ned leave to return. Duty pulled in both directions. Winterfell needed its lord. The realm needed its hand. Every instinct told Ned to turn his horse north, yet the memory of Jon Arryn's death waited ahead, tangled with Robert's fear and Lysa's warning. Robb was nearly a man. Catelyn had Lewin, Roderick, and the household guard. Bran's condition would not change because Ned rode through the night. He hated every reason that kept him south. Jon asked to return in his place. Robert refused. "You remain where I can see you. My brother may be dying, and your father has agreed the North is not without protectors. He is not my father, as you are fond of reminding me." Robert's expression tightened. Ned intervened. "Jon, no. Bran may die believing I abandoned him." "Bran knows better," Ned said. Jon crushed the Raven's parchment in his fist. The journey continued. Something between Robert and Jon changed after Bran's fall. The king had previously kept the boy near as one might keep a sheathed dagger, close enough to seize, distant enough not to cut. Now he began summoning Jon to ride beside him. At first they spoke only of horses, hunting, and the country through which they passed. Robert asked whether Jon had ever killed a man. Jon said he had not. Robert declared that songs made killing cleaner than it was and described the trident without glory, mud sucking at his boots, men drowning in water shallow enough to stand in, Rhaegar's blood beneath his hammer. "You killed my father," Jon said. The king's guards shifted uneasily. Robert looked ahead. "I killed a man trying to kill me. Did you hate him? With every breath. Do you still?" Robert considered. "I hate what he took. My mother went willingly." "So Ned says. You believe him." "I believe Ned believes it." "That is not the same." "No." Rain softened the road to brown sludge. Hooves sank deep. The king's standard hung heavy above them. "What was Rhaegar like?" Jon asked. Robert spat into the mud. "Beautiful enough to make wise men stupid." "That is not an answer." He played his harp while his father burned men alive. He spoke gently and left others to bleed for his dreams. He stole a girl promised to another man. "No. She was not property." Robert swung toward him. For a breath, Jon thought he had gone too far. Then the king looked away. "No," Robert said. "She was not." They rode in silence. That evening, the column stopped at an inn beside the river. Joffrey tormented a butcher's boy near the bank. Arya intervened. Steel flashed. Nymeria bit the prince, and the children vanished into the woods. In another telling of the journey, Robert might have surrendered justice to Cersei's anger. He might have ordered a direwolf killed to preserve peace within his marriage. But when the queen demanded blood, Jon was standing beside him. "The beast attacked the heir to the throne," Cersei said. "After Joffrey drew live steel upon an unarmed boy," Arya shouted. "She lies." "My sister does not lie," Sansa began, then faltered as Joffrey looked at her. Robert saw the hesitation. He saw fear working inside a child. Perhaps he also remembered another Stark girl, whose choices had been rewritten by those left alive. "No wolf dies," he said. Cersei's eyes narrowed. "You shame your son before the realm." "My son has shamed himself." Joffrey stared as though struck. Robert ordered the butcher's boy found alive, commanded Joffrey's sword taken for the remainder of the journey, and told Arya she would scrub pots for striking a prince. It was imperfect justice, but Maikah lived. That night, Jon found Robert alone beneath a canvas awning, nursing a single cup of watered wine. You changed your judgment because of Lyanna, Jon said. Robert grunted. I changed it because the boy is a spoiled little shit. He is your son. He is his mother's son when he acts that way. The king drank and stared into the rain. Did Ned ever strike you? When I deserved it. Did you? Sometimes. Robert almost smiled. Jon sat across from him without invitation. The guards watched, but did not interfere. Why did you marry Cersei? Jon asked. Because kings marry kingdoms. Did you love her? No. Did she love you? Robert laughed bitterly. She loved a crown. I happened to be beneath it. No. Jon thought of Catelyn's face when she apologized, of Sansa defending Joffrey and then retreating into fear. Why stay married? Because a king does not put aside the daughter of Tywin Lannister without giving the realm another war. You fought one war for a woman you did not marry, and avoided another by keeping one you do not love. Robert stared at him. You are bold for a prisoner. You call me Ward when it suits you, and Prince when I wish to frighten you. You have not called me Prince since Winterfell. The king looked away. A prince is what men will see if the truth escapes. What do you see? Robert's gaze returned to him. A question I would rather not answer. The next raven brought darker tidings. An assassin had entered Bran's chamber with a dagger and attempted to kill him. Catelyn had fought the man. Summer tore out his throat. The weapon was fine castle-forged steel, its hilt made from dragonbone. Someone had feared Bran waking. Ned read Lewin's account beside the road while Jon paced like a caged animal. This was no accident, Jon said. We do not yet know that the fall and attack are connected. Of course they are. Certainty without proof is how innocent men die. My father died beneath Robert's hammer because no one demanded proof of what he had done. Ned lowered the letter. Rhaegar rode to war in armor. That is proof enough of the choice he made. Jon flinched. Ned regretted the harshness at once. Bran will be protected, he said. Robb has doubled the guard. I should be there. Yes. The admission silenced him. Ned sent ravens north and south. He instructed Catelyn to remain in Winterfell, reveal nothing of Jon's birth, and send the dagger under trusted guard. He wrote to Stannis Baratheon at Dragonstone, urging him to return to King's Landing. He wrote to Arryn retainers in the Vale, asking careful questions about their lord's final days. That night, Varys received copies of every letter before the wax cooled. Far away in the capital, the eunuch read by candlelight beneath the Red Keep. A second parchment lay beside Ned's messages. It had arrived from Winterfell by another route, written in a hand belonging to one of Cersei's servants. The spider learned that Lyanna's child lived. He read the words without surprise. Varys had known there was a child. He had not known where Ned hid him, nor whether the infant survived beyond its first winter. Secrets did not always reveal themselves to force. Some emerged only when frightened men began moving too quickly. He burned the letter and summoned one of his little birds. Find Lord Baelish, he said. Tell him the board has gained another king. On the King's Road, Robert woke before dawn to find Jon seated outside the royal pavilion, Ghost beside him. You look worse than Ned, the king said. I was thinking. That is usually Ned's excuse. Robert sat upon a camp stool and stretched his aching knees. About Bran and the assassin. You suspect the Lannisters? Jon did not answer. Robert's voice hardened. Say it. I saw Jaime climbing toward the royal apartments the night before Bran fell. That proves he climbed stairs. Ghost growled after him. A wolf is not a witness. Neither was Lyanna. Once she died, men believed whatever story remained. Robert studied him. You think Jaime pushed the boy. I think Bran saw something. What? What? I do not know. Robert leaned back. For the first time, Jon saw fear beneath the king's irritation. Not fear for himself. Fear of what another truth might demand. Your father, Nind, will investigate, Robert said. And if he discovers something you do not wish to hear. Robert's face became still. Jon realized he had touched the wound between the king and the hand. At last, Robert said, he has already discovered the one thing I least wish to hear. And you did not kill me. Do not sound disappointed. I am trying to understand you. Give up. Better men have failed. The king rose, then paused. If Bran wakes, he may remember. Yes. If he names Jaime, I will give you justice. Jon looked up. Even against your wife's brother? Especially against him. Robert walked back into his pavilion. Jon remained beneath the paling sky. He wanted to believe the promise. Yet he had learned that promises were not made difficult by the words themselves. They became difficult when keeping them demanded a price. King's Landing smelled of hot stone, horse dung, fish markets, and secrets left too long beneath the sun. Jon disliked it before he passed through the gates. The city pressed inward from every side. Children ran beside the royal column. Beggars called Robert's name. Gold cloaks shoved citizens from the road. From balconies draped in faded cloth, merchants and nobles leaned forward to see the king's strange northern ward. Rumor had arrived ahead of them. Some called Jon a hostage taken from Ned to guarantee the North's loyalty. Others claimed he was Robert's newly acknowledged bastard. One drunken flea-bottom shouted that the king had found a wolf prince in the snows and meant to marry him to Myrcella. No one spoke the truth openly. That made Jon more certain that some already knew it. His chamber lay within the Tower of the Hand, close enough to Ned for protection and far enough from the royal apartments to satisfy Cersei. 2 guards stood outside at all hours. Robert called them an honor guard. Jon called them by their names and asked whether they had orders to prevent him leaving. They refused to answer. Arya adapted to the city by treating it as enemy ground. Sansa saw towers, silks, tournaments, and the prince to whom she remained betrothed, despite the disgrace on the King's Road. Ned saw dangers multiplying faster than he could name them. Robert saw escape. Within a day of returning, he began hunting, feasting, and avoiding counsel. Yet, he kept Jon nearby. The boy sat at the lower end of royal dinners, rode during morning hunts, and trained in the Red Keep courtyard beneath the observation of men who measured him as a future ally or enemy. Barristan Selmy tested him first. The old knight moved with an economy that made younger swordsmen seem wasteful. He turned aside Jon's attacks, corrected his footing, and struck him whenever temper overcame judgment. "You have been taught well," Barristan said. "Sir Roderick taught all of us. Your brother Robb as well?" "Yes." "Which of you is better?" "He is stronger." "That was not my question." Jon considered. "I am quicker." Barristan smiled faintly. "A careful answer." "Careful answers keep me alive here." "Sometimes." Across the yard, Jaime watched from beneath an arch. He offered no greeting. Jon attacked again. Barristan caught the blade, twisted, and sent it spinning across the stones. "You watch Sir Jaime when you should watch me." "I do not trust him." "Trust has no place in sword work. Attention does." Barristan returned the weapon. Again. Above them, Robert leaned against a balcony rail. He had taken to watching Jon train. Sometimes he shouted advice that contradicted Barristan's. Sometimes he laughed when Jon fell. Once, when Jon landed a touch against the old knight's shoulder, Robert's cheer echoed across the yard. Cersei heard it from her apartments. The queen understood affection as territory. Every kindness Robert showed Jon was something stolen from Joffrey. Every private conversation threatened to alter the line of succession. Every resemblance to Lyanna deepened an insult Cersei had endured since her wedding night. She summoned Varys. The eunuch entered dressed in lilac silk, soft hands folded across his stomach. "You knew," she said. "I know many things, Your Grace. It is the burden of useful men. Me, Ga, Bow. You knew Stark's bastard was Rhaegar's son. I suspected Lord Stark's honor had committed some unusually fertile sin. Do not jest. I would never. Who else knows?" Varys smiled apologetically. "That depends upon what one means by no. Lord Baelish has heard a rumor. Renly has heard 3. Stannis may have deduced the matter from his grace sudden interest in a northern boy. And Tywin? I could not say. You could. You choose not to. That too is a form of answer." Cersei rose from her chair. "If Robert recognizes him, he cannot make Rhaegar's son more legitimate than blood and history already make him. He can place him above my children. Only if he first declares your children unworthy." For a heartbeat, the room went silent. Cersei's eyes narrowed. "Why would you say that?" Varys bowed. "A poor choice of words." She stepped closer. "You know something else. My knowledge is vast and mostly disappointing. If you betray me..." "To whom? The king? Lord Stark? The hidden dragon? I am spoiled for choices." Cersei dismissed him before rage overcame caution. Varys departed with measured steps. By sunset, Littlefinger knew the queen was afraid. The small council assembled the next morning. Robert attended because Ned had threatened to resign before completing his first week. Renly Baratheon arrived perfumed and smiling. Pycelle brought scrolls no one would read. Littlefinger carried ledgers proving the crown owed more gold than any sensible kingdom could repay. Varys drifted toward his seat like a colored shadow. The last man to enter was Stannis Baratheon. He had returned from Dragonstone during the night in response to Ned's letter. Lean, hard-faced, and dressed in dark wool, Stannis acknowledged his brothers with the warmth of a jailer counting prisoners. His gaze settled upon Jon. The boy stood behind Ned's chair at Robert's insistence. "So it is true," Stannis said. Robert's hand closed around his cup. "Which part?" "That you have taken Stark's bastard as your ward. He has a name. So did every Blackfire." Silence filled the chamber. Jon understood the reference. Bastard descendants of kings had drowned the realm in rebellion for generations. Robert rose halfway from his seat. "Speak carefully." Stannis did not look away. "I speak precisely. A boy with royal blood, uncertain legitimacy, and the affection of powerful lords is a danger whether he seeks power or not." Ned said, "Jon has renounced any claim." "Privately?" "Yes. Private renunciations do not stop armies." Jon stepped forward. "Then I will renounce it before the realm." Stannis examined him. "You cannot renounce what the king refuses to acknowledge." Robert slammed his palm upon the table. "Enough." The king glared at both brothers. "Jon is under my protection. He is not heir, claimant, prince, dragon, or subject for debate. He is a boy whose mother was Lyanna Stark. Nay, Dame Dole." Renly's smile faded. Even those who had heard rumors had never heard Robert speak the truth so plainly. Pycelle's mouth fell open. Littlefinger recovered first. "A touching family matter, Your Grace, though one that may create certain administrative complications." Robert pointed at him. "Say the word succession, and I will throw you from the window." Littlefinger glanced at the narrow opening behind him. "I was thinking of accommodation." Stannis remained rigid. "If Rhaegar married Lyanna, the boy is legitimate." Robert's face darkened. "He is alive because I have chosen mercy. Mercy does not alter law." "No, but kings do." Ned saw the danger. Robert's instinct was to dominate what frightened him. Stannis' instinct was to reduce all questions to law. Between them stood Jon, whose existence made both instincts insufficient. "We did not gather to discuss Jon," Ned said. "We gathered to discuss Jon Arryn." The old hand's name shifted the chamber. Stannis sat. Ned laid out what he knew. Arryn had investigated the lineages of noble houses. He had visited armorers, questioned servants, and searched records concerning Robert's natural children. He had died suddenly after telling his wife that the seed was strong. Pycelle blamed fever. Stannis' jaw tightened. "What do you know?" Ned asked him. The king's brother looked toward Robert, then toward the council chamber doors. "I suspected the truth before Aeron died." "What truth?" Robert demanded. Stannis did not answer. Ned understood that fear could silence even a man who prided himself upon iron duty. "Did Aeron share his suspicions with you?" "Yes." "Concerning whom?" Stannis looked at Joffrey's empty chair along the wall. Robert followed his gaze. The king's expression changed. "Say it." "Not yet," Stannis said. "Not without proof that cannot be dismissed as ambition." Robert surged to his feet. "You vanish to Dragonstone after my hand dies, return when summoned, and bring me riddles? I brought you caution. You brought me insolence." Ned placed both hands on the table. "Robert, let us gather the proof." The king stared at him. Trust between them had been broken in the crypts, but something harder had replaced it. Robert knew Ned could lie. He also knew Ned had chosen truth when silence was safer. "Find it," Robert said. "Whatever Aeron died for, find it." Ned began that afternoon. Jon assisted in ways neither expected. His uncertain place allowed him to move between worlds. Noble enough to enter the Red Keep, bastard enough that servants spoke freely around him, royal ward enough that guards rarely challenged him. He accompanied Ned to the armory where Gendry worked. The apprentice had black hair, blue eyes, and shoulders too broad for his age. Robert's face lived in him more clearly than Rhaegar's lived in Jon Daenerys. Ned questioned the master armorer while Jon watched Gendry hammer glowing metal. "You know who your father was?" Jon asked when they were alone. "No." "Do you wish to?" Gendry shrugged. "Would it change the work?" "Perhaps everything. Then I am better without knowing." Jon almost laughed at the cruelty of the answer. That evening, Robert summoned him to the king's private solar. A dozen miniature soldiers covered a table. Robert moved them through the dust with one finger, recreating battles fought before Jon's birth. "This was the Trident," he said. "Rhaegar crossed here. I came down from the ridge." Jon studied the figures. "Why are you showing me?" "Because songs lie." Robert placed one carved knight in the river. "He fought well, better than most men I killed." "Does that make you regret it?" "No." "Then what does it make you feel?" Robert looked older in candlelight. "Tired." Jon touched the figure representing Rhaegar. "My mother loved him." "Yes." "And you loved her?" "Yes." "So one of you had to die." Robert shook his head. "That is what boys believe. Men discover there were 1,000 roads leading elsewhere, and they chose the bloody one because pride made it look straight." Jon looked at him in surprise. Robert poured 2 cups of wine, hesitated, and gave Jon water instead. "If you had known about me at the Tower of Joy, would you have killed me?" The king did not answer immediately. "Yes," he said at last. Jon's hand became still upon the table. Robert continued, "I would have called it justice. I would have told myself the child might grow into another dragon. I would have done it before Ned could stop me." "Why tell me?" "Because you asked for truth." The words hurt, but they also carried a strange respect. "What changed?" Robert looked toward the miniature in the river. "You grew a face." A knock sounded. Ned entered carrying a heavy book bound in cracked leather. Behind him came Stannis. Robert rose. The book contained generations of marriages among the great houses. Baratheon children born of Lannister mothers. Lannister children born of Baratheon fathers. Black hair appeared again and again. Never gold. Ned laid the book open before the king. "The seed is strong," he said. Robert stared down at the page. Jon saw the moment understanding became belief. The king did not rage. He sat very slowly, as though struck through the heart. Robert read the lineages until dawn. He drank nothing. That frightened everyone more than drunken fury would have done. Stannis remained in the solar, standing near the hearth like a carved figure of judgment. Ned sat opposite the king. Jon stayed by the door, uncertain whether his presence had been forgotten or required. 3 times Robert returned to the same page. Orys Baratheon, black of hair. Steffon Baratheon, black of hair. Robert, Stannis, Renly, all black of hair. Bastards fathered upon women from the Reach, the Vale, the Riverlands, and the streets of King's Landing, each bearing some variation of the same dark features. Joffrey's golden curls seemed to gleam in memory. "Jaime," Robert said. No one answered. "Say it." Stannis obliged. "The Queen's children were fathered by her brother." Robert closed the book. "Get out." Stannis' mouth tightened. "All of you." Ned rose. "Robert, out." Jon followed Ned into the passage. Before the door closed, they heard the king begin to weep. Robert had not wept before Lyanna's tomb. He had not wept while speaking of the trident, or while confessing that he would once have murdered an infant. The sound emerging from the solar was deep, furious, and broken. Ned stationed guards at every stair. "No raven leaves the city," he told Jory Castle. "No ship departs without inspection. Place men at the Queen's apartments, but do not enter until the king gives command." Stannis objected. "Every hour allows them to prepare. Every reckless move risks the children. They are evidence. They are children." Stannis' expression suggested the distinction held little legal relevance. Jon remembered Joffrey holding live steel to Mykah's face. He remembered Myrcella smiling shyly at Bran. He remembered Tommen feeding scraps to a kitten beneath the high table. "They did not choose their birth," he said. Stannis turned his hard gaze upon him. "Neither did you, yet your birth nearly ended a dynasty before breakfast." Ned stepped between them. "We will not punish children for the sins of their parents. Then we repeat the weakness that allowed every pretender to raise banners." Jon's anger sharpened. "Would you have killed me at the tower?" Stannis considered the question as though it concerned a tax dispute. "If the law required it." The law did not require the murder of Elia's children. "No, that was murder. But mine would be duty? You were born within a disputed marriage to the heir of a deposed house. Your survival threatened peace." And Joffrey is an illegitimate child falsely presented as heir to the throne. You make us sound different because you need us to be. Stannis' jaw flexed. Ned said, "Enough." The king emerged after sunrise. His eyes were swollen. His face had become a mask. "Bring Cersei to the throne room," he said. Ned urged a private confrontation. Robert refused. "She shamed me before the realm. She will answer before witnesses." The Iron Throne cut a black silhouette against the hall's high windows. Gold cloaks lined the walls. Barristan stood beside the throne with 5 members of the Kingsguard. Jaime was absent. Cersei entered with Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen. She wore crimson. No chains bound her wrists. Her chin remained high. When she saw the genealogy book in Robert's hand, she understood. Joffrey looked bored. Myrcella sensed danger and took Tommen's hand. "Where is your brother?" Robert asked. Cersei smiled faintly. "Which one?" "Jaime. Attending his duties, I presume. He abandoned his post before dawn. Perhaps he grew tired of guarding a drunken cuckold." The words echoed. Robert descended from the throne. Ned moved closer, ready to intervene. The king stopped before Cersei. "Are they his?" She could have lied. Perhaps Robert hoped she would. A denial might have preserved one last fragment of the life he believed he possessed. Cersei looked into his face and chose cruelty. Yes. Robert's hand twitched. Joffrey stared at his mother. What does she mean? Cersei ignored him. How long? Robert asked. Since before our wedding. You never gave me one trueborn child. You never earned one. Robert struck her. The blow sent her to one knee. Jaime was not present to kill him for it. Barristan's face hardened with disapproval. Ned stepped forward, but Cersei raised one hand before he could reach her. Blood brightened her lower lip. She laughed. There he is, she said. The mighty stag, strong enough to beat a woman when there are guards to hold her down. No one holds you. Your crown does. Robert looked toward the children. Joffrey had gone pale. You are not my son, the king said. Joffrey's face twisted. I am the crown prince. You are Jaime's bastard. I am your heir. No? The words struck harder than the blow. Myrcella began to cry silently. Tommen clung to her. Robert's fury faltered when he saw them. Cersei noticed. Will you kill them? She asked. As your loyal Lannisters killed Rhaegar's little heirs for you? Perhaps place them beneath crimson cloaks and call it a wedding gift. I never ordered those deaths. You rewarded them. Robert looked ill. Cersei rose. Do you think the realm cares who planted the seed? Joffrey bears your name. Lords have sworn to him. Sansa Stark is promised to him. The people cheered when he entered the city. Bizarre. The people cheer mummers and executions. They will cheer a golden king before a grim smuggler's brother or the hidden son of a dead dragon. Every eye shifted toward Jon. Cersei smiled. There was the weapon. Joffrey looked at Jon as if seeing him for the first time. What is she talking about? Robert's voice lowered. Silence. Cersei turned to the watching guards. Ask why the king brought Ned Stark's bastard south. Ask why he places the boy at his table, watches him train, and defends him against his own queen. Ask whose eyes he carries. Ask which dead prince fathered him upon Lyanna Stark. Mary. Whispers moved through the hall. The secret was loose. Ned's hand went to his sword. Jon stood still, though every instinct urged him to run. Robert climbed the first step toward the throne and turned to face the court. Jon is Lyanna's son, he said. The whispers ceased. Rhaegar fathered him. Ned protected him. The boy knew nothing until Winterfell. Stannis closed his eyes briefly, as though a feared calculation had become real. Robert continued. Jon has made no claim to my throne. Not yet, Cersei said. Jon walked into the center of the hall. He had not planned the words. Perhaps words prepared too carefully would have sounded false. I claim no crown, he said. I ask no man to call me prince. Robert is king by conquest law and the oaths of the realm. Stannis is his lawful heir until the king fathers a trueborn child. I will swear this before the old gods and the new. Joffrey shouted, You cannot put Uncle Stannis before me. Stannis' expression remained carved from stone. Robert studied Jon. Why? The king asked. Because I have seen what secrets do. Cersei laughed. Noble words from a boy who has just discovered he may rule. Jon looked at her. I also discovered that a crown teaches people to lie to you. I have endured enough lies. Robert turned to Barristan. Take the queen into custody. The children are to be confined in Maegor's holdfast under guard. No harm comes to them. Joffrey screamed as gold cloaks approached. I am the king after you. You cannot imprison me. Robert's face twisted with pain. You were never after me. Cersei did not resist. She leaned close to Jon as guards passed. He will fear you more each day, she whispered. Mercy is only fear wearing a kind face. Then she was led away. Jaime had escaped the city before the gates closed. He rode west with 6 loyal men and a letter bearing Cersei's seal. By nightfall, ravens flew from hidden rookeries despite Ned's orders. One carried news to Casterly Rock. Another crossed the narrow sea. A third reached every lord who owed Littlefinger coin. The realm awoke to three truths. Joffrey was a bastard. Jon was a Targaryen. Robert had no lawful child. Before sunrise, Tywin Lannister called his banners. The sensible course was for Robert to remain inside the Red Keep until the crisis passed. Robert had never taken the sensible course while another road promised noise, danger, or the chance to strike something. 3 days after Cersei's arrest, he announced a royal hunt. Ned opposed it before the council. Tywin is gathering men. Jaime is somewhere between the capital and the west. Half the city believes Jon means to seize the throne. No, then let them see their king riding. Let them see you from the walls. I will not hide behind walls while lions call me cuckold. Stannis supported Ned, which made Robert more determined to ignore them both. Renly offered to accompany the king. Robert refused. He ordered Stannis to Dragonstone to secure the fleet, Renly south to gather the Stormlords, and Ned to prepare the capital. Jon asked to join the hunt. Ned said no. Robert said yes. You keep him close because you trust him? Ned had asked after Jon left the council chamber. I keep him close because everyone expects me to fear him. And do you? Robert looked toward the Iron Throne. Every hour. The answer was honest. That is why he should remain here. No. Fear grows best in empty rooms. When the boy stands beside me, I see a boy. When he is absent, I see 10,000 men shouting Rhaegar's name. Ned could not argue with that. The hunting party left beneath low clouds. Barristan commanded the escort. Lancel Lannister served wine. Jon rode near Robert, wearing dark mail beneath his cloak and carrying a boar spear across his saddle. The king drank heavily. At first, Jon assumed it was ordinary excess. By midday, Robert's speech had thickened. He swayed in the saddle and laughed too loudly at poor jests. Yet the wine smelled sharper than usual, and Lancel refilled the king's skin whenever Robert looked away. Jon caught the squire's wrist. What did you put in it? Lancel's face drained. Nothing. Robert tore the wineskin from Jon's hand. Have you become my nurse? He has given you more wine in 3 hours than you drank during the whole journey south. That is because the journey was miserable. Lancel forced a laugh. Jon did not release him. Barristan approached. Is there trouble? Robert waved him away. The wolf thinks my wine is plotting treason. Jon looked at the White Knight. Shh, Mallet. Barristan took the skin. His expression changed almost imperceptibly. Strong wine, he said. Sweetened. Robert scowled. I know what strong wine tastes like. This is stronger than what was ordered. Lancel pulled free and stepped back. I brought what the Queen's cellars provided. The Queen has no cellars now, Jon said. A horn sounded deeper in the forest. The boar had been found. Robert's attention shifted at once. He seized his spear and kicked his horse forward. Barristan shouted for him to wait. The king vanished between the trees. Jon followed. Rain began as a thin hiss against leaves. Branches struck his face. Ahead, Robert's horse screamed. Jon burst into a clearing and found the king on foot, his mount fleeing with torn reins. The boar stood among churned leaves, enormous and black, one flank streaked with blood from a shallow spear wound. Robert braced himself against an oak, laughing as though the gods had delivered an enemy worthy of him. Come on, you bastard! The animal charged. Robert drove his spear down too late. The shaft glanced aside. One tusk caught the king below the ribs and hurled him into the mud. Jon did not remember leaving the saddle. He struck the ground, rolled, and came up with his spear in both hands. The boar wheeled toward Robert. Jon stepped between them. The animal lowered its head. He saw a ghost leaping through summer snow. He saw Bran waving from the tower. He saw Lyanna's stone face, Rhaegar's wooden figure in the river, and Robert weeping alone behind a closed door. The boar charged. Jon set the spear. The impact drove him backward. The shaft bent almost double. His boots lost purchase and he fell, but the point held. The boar's weight carried it past him before it collapsed among the wet leaves. For several breaths, nothing moved. Then Robert groaned. Jon crawled to him. Blood darkened the king's side, though the wound was not as deep as the one Fear imagined. The tusk had torn flesh and cracked mail but missed the belly. "You bloody fool," Robert said. Jon laughed breathlessly. "Which one of us?" Robert tried to stand and failed. Barristan and the huntsman reached them moments later. Lancel arrived last. He saw the wounded king and turned his horse. Barristan's command stopped him. "Take the squire." 2 guards pulled Lancel from the saddle. Robert pointed weakly. "Bring him here." Lancel fell to his knees in the mud. The king stared at him. "Who ordered it?" "No one, your grace." Robert reached for his hammer, remembered he had not brought it, and closed his empty fist. Jon crouched beside Lancel. "You gave him sweet and strong wine. You kept filling the skin. You knew the boar had been wounded and driven toward this clearing." Lancel began to weep. She said he would only sleep. Robert's face became terrible. "Who?" Lancel looked toward the city hidden beyond miles of rain. "The queen." Cersei had planned the hunt before her arrest. Her servants had carried out the order afterward, believing Robert's death would free Joffrey and force the court to choose between a golden prince and a hidden dragon. Instead, Robert returned alive. He entered King's Landing upon a litter, pale with pain and cursing anyone who attempted to carry him gently. Jon rode beside him with dried mud across his face and the broken boar spear tied to his saddle. Citizens lined the streets. The story spread before they reached the Red Keep. By dusk, singers had already turned Jon's intervention into a duel against a beast large as an aurochs. By dawn, some claimed the boar had worn crimson armor. Robert ordered the bells rung and summoned the court. He appeared in the throne room bandaged beneath a black tunic. Ned stood at his right. Jon stood at his left. Cersei was brought from confinement. She saw Robert alive and understood that she had lost. Lancel confessed before the assembled lords. Cersei denied nothing. "You should have drunk more," she told Robert. The king looked at the woman he had despised for 15 years. "I should have been a better husband." No one expected the words, least of all Cersei. Her expression flickered. Robert continued, That does not excuse treason. It does not excuse what you did to the realm or to your children. But I gave you hatred and expected obedience in return. That was a fool's bargain." Cersei lifted her chin. "Do you seek forgiveness?" "No." "Then why admit fault?" "Because Ned taught me what secrets cost." Robert turned to the hall. "Cersei will stand trial. Jaime is stripped of his white cloak and named traitor. Joffrey has no place in the succession. Myrcella and Tommen will be protected as wards of the crown." Murmurs rose. Robert raised his voice. "Stannis is my heir by law. Renly follows him. Jon, son of Lyanna, has sworn before gods and men that he seeks no crown. An old Reach Lord called, 'Can a dragon's oath bind dragon's blood?' Jon stepped forward. 'No blood commands me.' Rhaegar's son has the stronger claim," another voice shouted. Robert looked at Jon. This was the moment Cersei had foretold. Fear had grown even while Jon stood beside him. The king descended from the throne. "Repeat your oath," he said. Jon knelt. "I am Jon, born of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen. I claim no right to the Iron Throne. I swear loyalty to Robert, first of his name, and to his lawful heirs. I will accept no crown raised against them. May..." Robert drew his sword. The hall inhaled. He placed the blade upon Jon's shoulder. "Rise." Jon obeyed. Robert turned so all could hear. I recognize him not as a Targaryen prince, but as Lyanna's son, and a member of House Stark through her blood. Let him be known as Jon Stark, under the protection of the crown, without right before Ned's true-born children in Winterfell." Ned stared. Jon's breath caught. A king could not change blood, but he could change how the realm named it. Robert had severed Jon publicly from the fallen dynasty while binding him to the living north. Stannis would object. Maesters would debate. Lords would call the decree unlawful. Yet the hall began to kneel. Not to Jon, to the settlement. When Jon looked at Robert, the king's face remained stern. Only his eyes revealed the cost. That night, Ned found Robert upon the balcony outside his chamber. The city spread below them, torchlit and restless. "You gave him my name," Ned said. "His mother's name. You granted what you had no cause to grant. I am told kings do that often." Ned rested both hands upon the stone rail. "Thank you," Robert grunted. After a time, he said, "He saved my life." "Yes. Rhaegar's son saved mine. Jon saved yours." Robert looked toward the chamber where the boy slept under guard. "For once, Ned, let me have the larger meaning. Beyond the city walls, Tywin's armies crossed into the Riverlands. The war the truth had prevented in King's Landing was beginning elsewhere. Tywin did not crown Joffrey immediately. He was too careful to place a false king upon a throne he did not possess. Instead, he issued declarations. Robert, he claimed, had fallen under Stark enchantment. Ned had placed Rhaegar's son beside the throne and invented accusations against the Queen to destroy House Lannister. Stannis sought to steal his nephew's birthright. Jon's renunciation was a mummer's oath made beneath a sword. The West answered. Golden banners crossed the hills. Jaime gathered outriders around him and struck the Riverlands before Edmure Tully could assemble his strength. Villages burned. Roads filled with refugees. Men who knew nothing of royal blood died because powerful houses disagreed over whose lies were lawful. Robert called the banners. This time the realm did not break into 5 kingdoms. The North marched for Ned and the king. The Stormlands divided briefly between Stanislaw and Renly's Charm, then united when Robert threatened to ride south and beat sense into both brothers personally. The Vale remained closed under Lysa Arryn, whose letters grew more frantic with every raven. The Reach offered cautious support. Dorne watched. Robb led the northern host. When Jon saw the direwolf banners approaching the royal camp near Riverrun, he forgot crowns, claims, and watching lords. He rode through the rain until he found Robb at the head of the column. They dismounted almost together. Robb embraced him. "Jon Stark," he said. Jon laughed against his shoulder. "Do not start. Half the camp has practiced bowing. I will break their knees. Then you remain the brother I remember." Robb had changed. Responsibility had sharpened him. Gray wind moved beside him, larger than ghost and restless from the scent of war. Catelyn arrived with the Tully riders. She stopped when she saw Jon. For a moment, neither knew what place the other should occupy. The old roles had been destroyed. He was not Ned's betrayal. She was no longer the woman whose hatred protected his life. Catelyn approached and touched his cheek. "You look like her," she said. It was the first time anyone had told him so without fear. "Robert says I have her eyes. And her stubbornness. You knew her." "A little. I was meant to marry Brandon." Lyanna frightened every horse in the yard and half the boys. Jon smiled. Catelyn's fingers trembled. "I prayed once that you would sicken," she whispered. "When you were a child, I hated myself afterward, but I still prayed." Jon had not expected the confession. "Why tell me?" "Because your life has suffered enough from secrets." He looked at the woman who had once represented every locked door in Winterfell. "Did you stop praying?" "Yes." "Then let it end there." Catelyn bowed her head. It was not forgiveness complete and shining. It was a beginning, which was rarer and more difficult. The War Council met inside Edmure's pavilion. Robert sat despite his healing wound. Stannis stood over the maps. Renly brought 20,000 Stormlanders, and the confidence of a man arriving after others had done the hardest work. Ned commanded the northern and royal hosts jointly. Robb represented the north. Brynden Tully provided the clearest understanding of the rivers. Jon had no formal seat. Robert gave him one. Tywin held the western approaches. Jaime's cavalry ranged north of the Red Fork. Gregor Clegane raided along the villages, hoping to force Robert into an impulsive pursuit. "He knows me," Robert said. Stannis replied, "He knows the man you were. I remain that man. Then we are doomed." Renly smiled. Brotherly confidence warms the room. Ned ignored them. "We divide their forces. Robb takes the northern infantry along the river. Stannis advances from the east. Robert remains with the central host." Robert scowled. "Remains? Your wound has not closed. It closes more quickly when I am killing Lannisters." Jon studied the map. Jaime expects Robb to move slowly. Robb looked at him. "Why?" "Because northern infantry cannot outrun cavalry. He will watch the roads and fords." "Name." Brynden nodded. "True. What if the infantry remains visible while a smaller mounted force crosses upstream?" "To do what?" Stannis asked. "Take the Golden Tooth behind him. Cut his retreat west. That force would be isolated. Only if Jaime stays where he is, he will turn to protect the pass." Robert leaned over the map. "And when he turns?" "Robb crosses the river and traps him between both forces." Stannis examined Jon with reluctant interest. "Who commands the riders?" Jon knew the answer before anyone spoke. Robert smiled. "No," Ned said. "You wanted him away from the throne," Robert replied. "A battlefield is as far as I can send him. He has never commanded men." "Neither had Robb until this morning," Robb said. "Jon knows northern riders." Ned's expression hardened. "This is not a training yard." Jon met his gaze. "You taught me that the man who passes sentence should swing the sword. My name helped begin this war. Let me help end it. Your name did not begin it. Men are dying while shouting it." Robert placed one thick finger upon the western pass. 300 riders. The Blackfish goes with him. Milne. Dante. None, gone, gawa, bear, Ayushe. Brynden grunted. "I have had worse assignments." Ned saw the decision settling around him. At last he looked at Jon not as the infant he had promised to protect, nor the boy he had nearly sent to the wall, but as a man demanding the right to risk himself. "Do not seek glory," Ned said. "I never have. That is when glory usually finds fools." The riders departed before midnight. They crossed the river beneath heavy rain, led horses through forests, and avoided every village. Ghost ranged ahead with Grey Wind, who had followed despite Robb's command to remain. By the second evening, they reached the hills overlooking the Golden Tooth. Lannister guards held the road but did not expect attack from the east. Jon divided the riders, sent Brynden to seize the lower gate, and climbed the rocky northern slope with 50 men. The battle was brief. Jon killed his first man beneath a wall silvered by moonlight. The guard rushed him with a spear. Jon turned the point aside and drove his sword beneath the man's arm. There was no song in it, no heroic stillness. The man gasped against Jon's face, smelling of onions and fear, then collapsed. Jon stood over him until Ghost's growl recalled him to the battle. By dawn, the pass was theirs. Jaime received the news before noon. As Jon predicted, he turned west. Robb crossed the Red Fork behind him. The Lannister host found itself trapped between two Stark forces, Rivermud and Stannis, advancing from the east with grim inevitability. Jaime attempted to break through Jon's riders. The king's lair appeared beneath a white cloak stained brown from travel, golden armor bright even beneath cloud. He cut down 2 men before reaching Jon. Their swords met. Jaime was faster than any man Jon had faced. Stronger than Barristan's controlled lessons suggested, less restrained than Roderick's drills. Each blow drove Jon backward. "You should have gone to the wall," Jaime said. "You should have stayed from Bran's tower." Jaime's next strike nearly took his head. So the boy remembered? No. Then you know nothing. Ghost knew. Jaime laughed and attacked. Jon yielded ground toward the narrow pass. He could not defeat Jaime by skill. He stopped trying. When Jaime lunged, Jon dropped beneath the blade and seized the knight's cloak. His weight pulled Jaime sideways. Ghost struck from the rocks, not biting but slamming into the knight's legs. Jaime fell. Jon's sword touched his throat. Around them, northern spears closed. Yield. Jaime looked at the blade, then up at Jon. Rhaegar's son taking the Kingslayer captive. Singers will ruin it. Yield. Jaime released his sword. The battle ended before sunset. Thousands of Western soldiers surrendered. Jaime was placed in chains. Robert arrived the next morning, furious that victory had occurred without him. He embraced Jon before the entire camp. Then he punched him in the shoulder for risking himself. Tywin withdrew toward Harrenhal. Cersei, held under guard in the capital, received news of Jaime's capture. That night she asked to speak with Jon. Ned opposed the meeting. Jon insisted. She waited behind iron bars in a chamber stripped of luxury. Without crown or court, she seemed smaller but no less dangerous. "You defeated Jaime," she said. "I survived him. Men call that victory when they like the survivor. What do you want?" "To offer you a kingdom." Jon almost laughed. Cersei came closer to the bars. "Robert fears you. Stannis despises what you represent. Renly believes smiles can conceal ambition. Ned will always choose his trueborn children before you, whatever name the king grants." "Many... You know nothing of Ned. I know he lied to everyone he loved to keep you alive. Imagine what he will do to keep Robb above you. I do not want Winterfell. No, you want belonging. That hunger is stronger than ambition because men mistake it for virtue." Jon said nothing. "Marry Myrcella," Cersei continued. "Join your claim to hers. The West will accept Rhaegar's son. The Reach will follow a beautiful young queen. Dorne may forgive dragon blood. End the war and take the throne. Nah. Dim. Myrcella is a child. She will grow. And Joffrey?" A shadow crossed Cersei's face. "Joffrey is unfit." It was the first truth Jon had heard her speak without poison. "You would abandon your son. I would save my daughter. By giving her to a man she barely knows and making her a banner. That is what noble daughters are for. No, that is what people like you tell them." Cersei smiled sadly. "You sound like Lyanna." Jon turned away. She also believed choice would save her, Cersei called after him. Instead, her choice killed thousands. Jon stopped at the door. No, men killed thousands because they could not bear that she had chosen without them. Cersei's smile vanished. Jon left her in silence. Tywin chose Harrenhal because ruins frightened lesser men. The black towers rose above the lake like the fingers of a burned hand. Every child in the Riverlands knew the castle was cursed. Harren the Black had completed it on the day Aegon's dragons melted stone and flesh together. Lords who claimed its halls died badly. Houses that held it vanished. Tywin did not believe in curses. He believed in walls, grain, gold, and the weaknesses of men. Behind Harrenhal's defenses waited the remnants of the western host, Sellswords purchased with Casterly Rocks reserves, and Joffrey beneath a hastily raised golden banner. Loyalists smuggled the boy from King's Landing before Cersei's confinement tightened. He was crowned in the castle sept by a frightened priest and proclaimed Robert's true heir. Few lords attended. Cersei did not know her son had escaped until the proclamation reached River Run. When she learned, she demanded to be taken to him. Robert granted the request. Ned objected. Stannis called it madness. Robert ordered Cersei carried under heavy guard because he wished the West to see that their queen had not been murdered by Stark conspirators. Jaime rode in chains beside her litter. The royal army surrounded Harrenhal before the first frost. Robert wanted an assault. Every commander advised starvation. "We have Tywin, Joffrey, and half the western nobility in one cursed box," Renly said. "We should be grateful they locked themselves in." "Men sing of castles taken by storm," Robert replied. "No one sings of waiting beside a ditch. Men who wait beside ditches often live long enough to hear songs." Stannis recommended building siege lines and allowing hunger to decide the issue. Ned agreed. Jon watched smoke rise beyond the walls. "Joffrey has servants and small folk trapped in there." Stannis said, "Sieges are not arranged for the comfort of servants. Tywin will feed soldiers first." "He will. Then hundreds may starve before he yields. Thousands may die if we assault." Robert looked at Jon. "Do you have a third miracle hidden beneath that black cloak?" "No." "Good. I was beginning to find you irritating." That night, a message came from Harrenhal. Tywin requested parley with Jon. Ned refused immediately. Robert asked why. "Because Tywin does nothing without purpose." "Then let us discover it." He asked for Jon alone. "He will not have him alone," Jon said. "He wants the armies to see him treating me as a claimant." Stannis nodded. "The meeting itself strengthens the rumor. Refusal may do the same," Renly said. "Men will claim we fear what he might reveal." Robert rubbed his healing side. "I am weary of being ruled by what men may claim." Jon volunteered to go under a peace banner with Barristan and 20 guards. At noon, the gates opened. Tywin emerged in dark crimson armor upon a pale horse. Kevan Lannister rode beside him. Joffrey followed wearing a golden crown too large for his head. The armies watched from both sides. Jon dismounted halfway between the lines. Tywin did the same. Up close, the Lord of Casterly Rock looked neither desperate nor defeated. Age had thinned his hair, but not his certainty. "You resemble Ned," Tywin said. "He raised me. Men resemble what shapes them more than what sires them. You did not ask me here to discuss fathers." "No? I asked you because you are the only man capable of ending this war without destroying the realm. Robert can end it. Open the gates." Robert is a wounded drunk with no sons. Stannis inspires obedience but not love. Renly inspires love but not obedience. Ned has honor enough to lose 10 kingdoms. "And you?" "I possess the strength to preserve one." Jon glanced toward Joffrey. The boy's face shone with hatred. "You crowned a bastard after condemning me as a pretender." "I crowned leverage." Joffrey heard. "I am the rightful king." Tywin did not look at him. Jon almost pitied the boy. "What do you offer?" Jon asked. "Recognition as Aegon, 6th of his name. Marriage to Myrcella, the support of the West. Joffrey will abdicate and take the black." "I will not." Tywin continued as though Joffrey had not spoken. "Robert may retain Storm's End and his titles. Stannis receives Dragonstone. Ned remains Warden of the North. No further blood need be shed." "No." Jon studied the man. "You call that peace? I call it reality arranged before fools ruin it. My name is Jon. Names can be corrected. I chose mine. Boys choose swords and horses. Kings accept burdens. I am not a king. You are the son of the last crown prince. And you serve the king who murdered his father." Tywin's eyes cooled. "I served the realm. You waited until the Trident decided the war, then murdered children to purchase Robert's favor." Joffrey smirked, believing the insult directed away from him. Tywin's voice lowered. "Do you imagine Robert's hands cleaner? Ned's?" Your father rode past burning villages to fight for a mad king because prophecy convinced him his blood mattered more than common lives. Every throne is built upon choices decent men condemn afterward. Then perhaps no decent man should want one. Want is irrelevant. No? Want is where every war begins. Tywin looked across the field toward Robert's stag banner. He will turn against you. Perhaps. Stannis will never trust you. Likely. Northern lords will compare you to Robb. They already do. Daenerys Targaryen lives across the sea. When she comes, she will use you or kill you. Then I will answer when she comes. Tywin's patience thinned. You mistake uncertainty for freedom, and you mistake control for wisdom. Jon stepped back. Open the gates. Release the servants. Surrender Joffrey. Robert has promised fair trial and protection for Myrcella and Tommen. Nay. Robert's promises die with him. Then mine will remain. Tywin's gaze sharpened. What do you promise? That no child dies for this war? Not Joffrey, not Myrcella, not Tommen. No Lannister babe in the Rock and no hostage in our camp. Yield and I will stand before Robert Stannis and the realm to hold them to it. You have no authority. I have the authority you summoned me to pretend I possess. For the first time, Kevin's mouth twitched. Tywin looked toward his walls. Your mercy will be remembered as weakness. Only by weak men. Jon turned away. Joffrey drew a hidden dagger. He rushed Jon from behind. Barristan moved, but Jaime moved first. Still chained between two guards near Cersei's litter, Jaime threw his shoulder into Joffrey's path. The boy struck him instead. The dagger glanced from a concealed plate beneath Jaime's tunic. Joffrey fell screaming. Cersei called his name. Jon turned with his sword drawn. Jaime looked down at the boy he had fathered and never claimed. Enough, he said. Joffrey stared up at him. You are mine, Jaime continued, his voice carrying in the cold air. Mine and Cersei's. Robert spoke true. The confession moved across the armies like wind through wheat. Joffrey's face crumpled. Tywin closed his eyes. The war ended in that moment. Those swords remained sheathed for another hour. Men could fight for doubtful inheritance. They could not easily fight once the father confessed before both hosts. Tywin requested terms. Robert demanded unconditional surrender. Jon reminded him of the promise. Stannis objected to pardoning Western lords who had supported treason. Ned argued that law without peace became vengeance. Renly suggested confiscating enough Lannister gold to pay the crown's debts, which restored Robert's enthusiasm for mercy. The gates opened before sunset. Joffrey surrendered his crown. Cersei entered the castle under guard and embraced him. Wept like the child he had never been permitted to remain. Jaime watched from a distance, chains between his hands. Tywin knelt before Robert in the yard where melted stone resembled frozen tears. You served my enemy, Robert said. I served my house. That defense has excused every treason since men learned heraldry. Tywin bowed his head. Robert looked toward Jon. The watching lords saw it. Jon felt their attention gather. The expectation that he would decide a lord's fate. Cersei had been right about one thing. Authority accumulated around symbols whether they desired it or not. He stepped beside the king. Send Tywin to the wall. Stannis frowned. The Night's Watch should not become a refuge for powerful criminals. Then strip him of gold, titles, and inheritance first. Let Kevan govern the West under the crown. Jaime stands trial for Bran and the rebellion. Cersei stands trial for treason. Joffrey is fostered somewhere he cannot be used. Where? Robert asked. Jon looked north. Winter fell. Ned's eyebrows rose. Jon continued, "Let him live among people who will not flatter him. Let him train beside boys who do not care what crown he wore. Let Robb judge whether he becomes better than what was made of him." Robert laughed until pain caught his side. "Catelyn will kill us both." "She will not." Cersei stared at Jon with suspicion and something close to disbelief. "You would trust my son to the Starks. I would trust the Starks with anyone's son." Ned looked away, overcome. Robert accepted the terms. Tywin removed his crimson cloak before the assembled hosts. The next morning, he began the journey north in black. The trials lasted through winter's first snows. Cersei was found guilty of treason, conspiracy to murder the king, and corruption of the succession. Robert refused execution. He stripped her of rank and sent her to live under guard at Casterly Rock, where she could see Myrcella and Tommen, but command no household beyond a handful of sworn women. Jaime confessed to fathering the children and pushing Bran from the tower. The confession nearly destroyed Ned's mercy. Bran had awakened months earlier. He remembered falling, but not the hands that sent him. Jaime supplied the missing truth in the throne room before Robert, Ned, Catelyn, and the court. "I meant to kill him," Jaime said. "Not because he was a boy, because he had seen us." Catelyn demanded his head. Robert was prepared to grant it. Bran stopped them. The boy had arrived in a wheeled chair designed by Tyrion. His legs lay motionless beneath a fur blanket, but his eyes were calm. "Will killing him make me walk?" No one answered. "Then send him somewhere he cannot push anyone else." Jaime was stripped of knighthood, titles, inheritance, and the white cloak. He chose the wall over the block. Unlike Tywin, he went willingly. Father and son traveled north in the same guarded column and did not speak for the first 1,000 miles. Joffrey arrived at Winterfell under Robb's protection. He hated the cold, the food, the training yard, the plain speech of northern lords, and the fact that no one called him Your Grace. Arya knocked him into the mud during their first week. Sansa, freed from the betrothal, treated him with distant courtesy. Catelyn watched him as she might watch a wounded, dangerous animal. Change did not come quickly. Some wounds became identity before they could heal. Yet when Joffrey struck a stable boy months later, Robb placed a shovel in his hands and made him clean every stall in Winterfell. No one laughed. No one flattered. No one suffered punishment in his place. The former prince began, slowly and angrily, to learn that other people were real. Myrcella remained at court as Robert's ward. Tommen was fostered with Renly at Storm's End, where he grew fond of horses and hated swordplay. Stannis remained Robert's lawful heir and reminded the king of it whenever royal excess threatened the treasury. Renly married Margaery Tyrell and produced enough celebrations to keep 3 kingdoms entertained. The crown's debts were paid with Lannister gold seized as penalty for rebellion. Littlefinger objected to the accounting until Ned uncovered enough false ledgers to send him fleeing toward the Vale. He was captured at the Bloody Gate with letters proving that he had encouraged Lysa to poison Jon Arryn and blame the Lannisters. Lysa confessed. Jon Arryn had discovered Cersei's secret. Littlefinger feared the revelation would stabilize the realm beneath Stannis' lawful succession rather than plunge it into chaos. He persuaded Lysa that her husband meant to send their son away and offered poison as freedom. She was confined to the Eyrie under the guardianship of the Vale Lords. Littlefinger lost his head. Varys watched the execution from a shaded balcony and adjusted his plans. Ned remained hand for 3 years. He hated the capital no less with each passing season, but Robert changed enough to make service possible. The king drank less. He attended council more often. He visited his bastards openly and provided for them without pretending affection could be replaced by coin. He did not become gentle. He did not become wise in all things. But a man need not become perfect to become better. Jon lived between identities. At court he was Lord Jon Stark by royal decree, though maesters continued to debate whether Robert possessed authority to grant a maternal name while the Stark line remained secure. In the north he remained Jon to those who loved him and the dragon wolf to singers who required grander language. Robert offered him lands at Moat Cailin. Jon accepted only after Robb insisted. "You need a home that is yours," Robb said. "Winterfell is mine." "It is? Then why another?" "Because belonging somewhere should not mean owning nothing." Together they rebuilt the ancient fortress guarding the neck. Jon raised a black and white banner bearing a direwolf beneath a red star, though he refused every suggestion of dragons. He spent summers training men, settling disputes among crannogmen and northern merchants, and traveling south when Robert required a voice he trusted. He spent winters looking north. Benjen vanished beyond the wall during Jon's second year at Moat Cailin. The ranging found dead wildlings, strange tracks, and bodies that did not remain dead. Jeor Mormont sent ravens to every king and great lord. In the old history, most would have dismissed him. In this history, Jon carried the letter directly to Robert. The king read it twice. "Dead men," Robert said. "Yes." "Walking." "Yes." "Your uncle missing beyond a wall made from ice." "Yes." Robert poured wine, stared at it, and set it down untouched. "Ned believes this?" "He believes Mormont." "That is not what I asked." "Yes, Ned believes it." Robert sighed. "Then gods help us. It is probably true." Stannis arrived within a fortnight. He had already received reports from Dragonstone of strange visions in the flames of a red priestess, newly arrived from Ashai. He distrusted the woman but trusted patterns, and too many warnings now pointed north. The realm mobilized. Not against lions, wolves, stags, or dragons. Against winter. The order went forth that each kingdom would supply men, grain, steel, horses, healers, and builders to the wall. The Night's Watch remained sworn outside the politics of the realm, but the realm would no longer pretend that neutrality meant abandonment. Dorne sent spears. The Reach sent wagons of food. The West, governed by Kevin, supplied armor and gold. The Riverland sent archers. The Vale finally opened its gates. Renly brought knights whose bright cloaks looked absurd in snow. Stannis brought ships and dragonglass taken from beneath Dragonstone. Robert rode north despite his age, weight, and every objection from his maesters. "You are king," Ned told him. "You need not stand upon the wall to prove it. I have spent half my life proving things that did not matter. Let me prove one that does." They returned to Winterfell together. Robert went first to the crypts. Jon accompanied him. Lyanna's tomb had not changed. Fresh frost covered the stone wolf. The iron sword Ned once placed across her knees had rusted at the edges. Robert stood before her statue. "I hated you," he said. Jon remained silent. "I hated him. I hated Ned. I hated the boy you left behind because none of you became what I needed you to be." "No." The dead offered no defense. Robert placed a blue winter rose upon the tomb. "I am sorry too." When they emerged, snow had begun to fall. The royal host continued north. At Castle Black, Jon climbed the wall beside Ghost. The lift groaned beneath him. Cold deepened with every foot until the air became a blade drawn across the lungs. Ned waited at the top. His hair had gone almost entirely gray. Years' hand had bent him but not broken him. Below, thousands of fires spread across the gift. Banners of houses that once would have slaughtered one another moved together in the wind. Stag and direwolf, lion and rose, trout and falcon, sun and spear. Robert's pavilion stood nearest the gate. Robb commanded the northern camp. Catelyn had traveled with Bran as far as Winterfell, and then followed north despite every protest. Arya trained with scouts. Sansa organized stores and healers, with a talent no song had ever predicted. Rickon, older and louder, refused to remain behind. Stannis walked the defenses with Davos Seaworth, counting arrows and correcting officers. Jaime and Tywin wore black. The father had become thin and severe, his golden pride reduced to disciplined silence. The son had grown a beard streaked with gray and trained recruits with the same hand that once pushed Bran from a tower. Neither man was forgiven. Both had found that service could exist without forgiveness. Beyond the wall, the forest stretched beneath endless white. "Are you afraid?" Ned asked. "Yes." "Good." Jon smiled. "Robert says fear makes men stupid. Robert has spent a lifetime demonstrating it." They stood together. For years, Jon had imagined this place as an escape, then as a prison. Now, it was neither. It was a frontier. A horn sounded below, one blast for returning rangers. Men moved toward the gate. A second blast followed. The giants in the yard fell silent. Jon looked at Ned. 2 blasts meant wildlings. The third blast rolled across the wall. Every memory of childhood stories became real. Others... Oh. Jon drew his sword. The blade was Valyrian steel, given to him by Mormont after Jon saved the commander from a dead ranger who rose within Castle Black. Its pommel bore a pale wolf's head. Robert reached the top of the wall in armor too heavy for his age, breathing clouds of steam. "What did the horns mean?" he demanded. Ned answered. Robert looked north. Shapes moved among the trees, pale against snow. The king drew his warhammer. He had carried it from Winterfell for the first time in years. "So," Robert said, "the dead want my kingdom." Stannis arrived beside him. "They want every kingdom. Then for once, we agree." The brothers stood shoulder to shoulder. Jon looked along the wall. Men from every corner of the realm waited beneath the same cold dawn. Some were brave. Some were terrified. Some had come for duty, some for coin, some because their lords commanded it. All were present because a secret had been spoken years before in the crypts of Winterfell. Had Ned remained silent, Robert would have died upon the hunt. Joffrey would have taken the throne. Stannis and Renly would have raised competing banners. Robb might have been crowned in the north. Tywin would have burned the Riverlands. Jon would have ridden beyond the wall without knowing his mother's name, while the kingdoms exhausted themselves fighting over chairs and blood. Truth had nearly begun a war. The lies surrounding it had tried harder. Jon understood then that truth was not a sword that ended conflict with one clean stroke. It was a torch. It revealed enemies, guilt, love, weakness, and roads men wished to ignore. Some used that light to find their way. Others used it to choose where to strike. Ned had feared the truth because he could not control what followed. He had spoken it anyway. The pale shapes emerged from the trees. Robert lifted his hammer. Ned drew ice. Jon raised the Valyrian blade his father's enemies had taught him to wield. Behind them stood a realm that had been given the chance to confront its wounds before winter came. Jon thought of Lyanna, not the stone maiden beneath Winterfell. The girl who had laughed after breaking Robert's nose. The young woman who had chosen love and discovered that choice did not free her from consequence. The mother who had placed an infant in her brother's arms and begged him to promise. Ned had kept half the promise by preserving Jon's life. He had fulfilled the rest by allowing him to live it. The first dead warrior reached the open ground. Jon stepped toward the edge of the world. Robert grinned beside him, fierce and unafraid at last. "Show me what sort of man you are, Jon Stark." Jon looked once at Ned. The man who was not father nodded like the father he had always been. Below, the gates opened. The living marched north together.